Briana, we're live on Women Investor Wednesdays. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing, Beth? Thank
I'm
you for
doing
having me.
awesome. I'm so happy that you're here. I've only heard a snippet of your story and I can't wait to share it with the audience. But before we do, what I like to do is just give a little background history of why we're doing this podcast, if you don't mind.
Of course.
During COVID, I had read a stat that of all of the investors in commercial real estate, only 3% were women. And of that 3%, 50% were inherited or women who were signing on their husband's guarantees on deals. And I just thought that was awful. And I started asking my girlfriends, are you investing? And they're like, yes. I go, well, where are you investing? And they said, in the stock market. I said, well, wait a minute, but you work in commercial real estate. Why are you not investing? Yeah. It's like free legal insider trading. And they're like, well, I don't have $1 million. And I'm like, but you don't need $1 million. And well, the math, and it's complicated and it's risky. I said, so is the stock market. And then they started saying, well, I don't know anyone doing it except for you. And I said, oh, well, obviously, because there's only 3% of us doing it. Yeah. So I put together an online virtual summit. We had 100 women. I interviewed 8 women like you, and it was a huge success. And since then, we've done 4 more live summits. Our next one's in March. It'll be our 6th. And we have 250 women. I cap it. And we have women in the audience when I ask them questions like, who's investing now? And maybe you weren't investing last year. Yeah. All these women are raising their hands. And then I asked who's investing with each other in the room. Last year, I think we had 32 women in the room that were investing with each other.
Awesome.
Amazing.
That's amazing.
But then I realized, well, if I'm going to cap that attendance at 250, so there's the intimacy of everyone getting to know each other to make it trustworthy for them to invest with each other. I said, I've got to still reach more women. My goal was to go from 3% to 10%. And last year, the theme of the conference was think bigger. So I announced that I want to take it to 30% by 2030. So I realized, why don't I do a Wednesday night podcast, Women Investor Wednesdays, where I can interview a woman every week. Yes. And so I think I'm over 110 interviews with women. So not just the women that I interview at the conference now, I get to interview someone like you every week. And it's been amazing.
Great.
So
great. We need that.
So welcome to Women Investor Wednesdays podcast.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Airbnb, car rental fleet, properties outside of the United States. Like, yes. Girl, you got and 29 years old.
Yes. Yes.
I am so happy that you've started so young.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been a journey. And I guess, do I say a little bit about myself or?
Yeah, please share. So I like to start with, what was the first deal that you invested in? But if you want, I know that you've got a story before that even, right? Like your parents. So yes. Why don't you start there and then we'll lead up to the first one that you did yourself.
Okay. And then I'll give more information on the deal too. But to start off, for those who don't know me, my name is Briana Mulzak. I am a Airbnb and Turo entrepreneur, short-term rentals and car rentals. So I do it both on the platforms and both privately. And I've been doing it since 2022. I have around, I want to say, 20 listings, 20 property listings, 15 cars, and, just been growing both in the US and in the Caribbean specifically. I'm definitely open to other markets, other countries as well. And yeah, that's pretty much my ballpark. And I started first helping my parents when they started in 2010. They had gotten their first turned one of their apartments into an Airbnb, and I was a part of the cleaning team. I was in high school, wanted to make some money, and they were like, we want to make some money. We need somebody to clean these apartments when people leave. And that was kind of like my after school job. And so I kind of got into the rhythm of understanding, the customer relations and the operations of running a kind of like a hotel or just a short-term rental. And I just was a cleaner for all of my high school years. And then I went off to college. I went to Hampton University, which is in Hampton, Virginia. And when I came back home, I kind of didn't know what exactly I was going to do. I had so many different paths. I was in music. I was working for BET and, other music artists in the industry. And I figured that wasn't really my path. And my parents had a tenant who was moving out. And they were like, okay, we need to get another tenant. But then I introduced the idea of rental arbitrage. And rental arbitrage is basically where you're renting a property from a property owner and with the consent and the right to do short-term rentals. So disclaimer, I do not own any of the properties that I have. I'm fully property management and either doing rental arbitrage or property management. And that's how I got into my first unit.
Wait, so how did you even know about rental arbitrage?
YouTube University. I saw so many people my age who didn't go to college. I was in college and seeing people who were like, they're not in college and they're renting properties and turning them to Airbnbs. And they were, just growing with their wealth and their listings and stuff like that. And I was really interested because I was like, well, I've been helping as a cleaner with my parents for all this time. It gave me the idea of, okay, this is something that, I can possibly try as well. And that's kind of
parents, when you went to them with this idea, what was their first reaction?
Their first reaction was they wanted to make sure that I could pay the rent every month.
So you basically, just so the audience understands, you said to your parents, I'm going to rent it from you, but yes, I'm not going to live there because I'm going to turn around and rent it to a short-term rental Airbnb person.
Exactly. So I had that conversation with them and they know about Airbnb and they know about having other people in their property. So it wasn't alarming to them. Sometimes when I'm pitching to other homeowners and telling them I want to rent to them with bringing in, Airbnb, because sometimes it's a little alarming because it's like other people, they don't know the operations of it. But with my parents, they understood I was trying to take on the entrepreneur route and get my feet wet within the Airbnb space. And we wrote up the lease agreement and they kind of just helped me kind of get it furnished and put together. And then kind of was like, let's see how you do. So I've been running that property since 2022 and it's been great. It's been my highest producing property, the property you saw on social media as well. And ever since that property, I've definitely grown and reached out. I didn't want to be subject to my parents and I didn't want to be subject to, only having one unit, anything quote unquote, because of my parents. And that really pushed me to branch out. And my first property that I got where I was cold calling, I don't want to go too fast.
Yeah. Okay. So you float that idea to your parents.
Yeah.
It was a vacant unit.
Yes.
You said, okay, but we've got to furnish it. So how much did you agree to rent it from them for? Do you remember?
Yes. The rent is $4,000 a month.
Okay. And this is in Brooklyn, New York.
Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. Yes.
And so then did they invest the money to furnish it?
So for furnishing, there's some things that the previous tenants left and okay. I paid for half the furnishings and they paid for the other half. Yes.
And how did you have the money to pay for your half?
So the other half came from my previous jobs, where when I came out of college, I was doing work for Paramount, BET, and in the entertainment. So okay. I had some savings.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, so you both 50-50 make it. Did it look like it looks now? Because it's awesome now.
No, okay. It doesn't. It's totally different. I definitely did upgrades.
Okay. All right. Okay. So we're gonna get there. Okay. So you fix it up. So how long did it take you to get your first tenant, your like subtenant?
Okay. It took about, I would say, 2 months. The tenants moved out. We did a full kind of just remodeling, things of that nature. So that took maybe about a month and a half. And then we did the professional photos. And so then after that, I would say 2 months. It took 2 months after that process.
Were you worried? Were you worried?
I definitely a little worried when I know that I'm on the line for the rent. But I was worried, but I also know that it was a very unique property, so I did have very high hopes that it would do well still. So
Okay.
it was
And
just
so what was your, how long did the person rent it? Like, is it weekend rentals, monthly rentals, 3-month rentals? Like what was the first deal that you got? How long?
Short-term renting. So, I think it may have been maybe 4 or 5 days for the first booking. And people can rent, we have a 2-night minimum. So from 2
Okay.
nights all the way up to 3.
And so the first year you paid $4,000 a month. So that's $48,000. Do you remember how much income you made in the first year?
Yes, the first year, I think it was about 100,000. I think it was around 100,000. Yeah.
And you're like, I found my new career.
Yes. Yeah.
And your parents were so excited. They were, believe it, your parents were worried. I'm telling you from a parent, they were worried.
Yes. It was. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I'll let you take the lead.
No, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say, I say 100,000, but that's, I would say in August of the first year, I got my second property, and so some of that revenue contributed to that 100,000.
Okay, so now you do it with your parents, and you're like, okay, I don't want to do it with my parents again. I want to be a big girl and go out and do this on my own. And so you started to say that you started cold calling. So
yes.
Well, first of all, that's my middle name. I'm called the Canvassing Queen. So loved hearing that. But so who, again, was this YouTube University too? They said cold call. And then who were you cold calling? And where did you get these lists of these people? This is fascinating. I've never had anyone on the podcast, 110 interviews, that have done anything like this that I'm aware of. Okay. I mean, we certainly haven't talked about it. So I'm fascinated by the whole topic.
Okay. I think before I get to the cold calling part, before the cold calling came into play, the second property, which was an apartment building, was brought to me by a referral. It was a friend of mine who, his mother was getting old. His mother was about like 65, and she had this 3-unit apartment building here in Brooklyn. And
watch yourself. I'm turning 65.
I'm sorry. Oh my gosh.
I'm teasing. I know 65
I don't
is
need to
40.
strike any chords.
Okay.
But yeah, so she was a little bit overwhelmed with going up the flight of steps and everything. And I'm sorry.
Oh, you just lost your lights.
I did. Give me a second.
Oh, that's okay. Brooklyn. Lights out in Brooklyn.
I had my spotlight on, but I think it's not with us right now. But yes, so
we both are having lighting problems tonight. But you know what? If all they do is listen to us, we're dropping gems.
Yes, definitely. But yes, so he knew that I had my first unit, and I was posting on socials, and he saw that I did management as well, and he approached me and said, my mother would like to know if you're interested in managing the property. Would you like to meet with her? So we had, full, basically 1 month going back and forth, negotiating, understanding like her goals with this partnership and what she wants out of this and everything. And my partner and I, we got into the building, and we turned the 3 apartments into 8 rooms and turn that whole building into student housing. And so that apartment alone has 8 listings, and that's contributes to the 20 listings that we have.
How did you know to do that?
So she actually was in Airbnb as well prior, and she did it by rooms. I never did it by rooms. And I was a little skeptical and scared because I'm like, are people going to book a room? Are they okay with sharing a room with someone else that they don't know? But it's a market and an area, a niche that I was not privy to, but it opened my eyes 100%. And it's been my most consistently booked properties for sure. And it's lower pricing, of course, because it's a room. So I guess some within the price range, and they say the housing prices and all that stuff, it definitely suits a need for.
Is it near a college or a university?
It's near Parsons. I'm sorry, it's near Pratt, excuse me. And that's the nearest school that we got a lot of referrals from or students, but we've had students from NYU, we've had students from schools in Queens.
So what do the rooms go for? What do the rooms go for?
So the rooms are going for as low as $1,500 to as high as $2,000. Yes. 2000. Yes.
So the ladies, that old lady, the 65-year-old, still around.
Yeah, she's still with us, alive and well. Yes.
Oh, thank God. And you're still doing work for her.
Yes, I still manage her property and I still have it running. Yes.
Amazing. Okay. So then what happened next?
What happened next is, after my partner and we got that whole building up and running, we're humans. We want more. We want to continue to grow. We see it's working. So we want to continue to add fuel to the fire. So that's when we started the cold calling aspect. We were going on Zillow and we're seeing places that are for rent. And so we specifically were looking for properties that were listed by the owner, because sometimes listings that are by management or, somebody or a real estate agent, it's just too many walls to get through. And we started to search through those different types of listings and reaching out to those owners and saying, hey, my name is Briana Mulzac. I am a property manager, a short-term rental property manager, and I'd love to, either partner with you on this property or, be your tenant with the right to sublease and, use it for business purposes as far as Airbnb. We'll always keep it in rent-ready condition because we have our cleaning team that's always there to keep it spick and span once people leave. And, kind of that whole little script. And we were specifically looking outside of New York because there's a lot of rules and regulations in New York City for Airbnb. So the first deal that we landed was in Arizona, Scottsdale, Arizona. And we were talking, with the owner, and he also was doing Airbnb as well. And I think everybody I've worked with have been familiar with Airbnb, which has been a blessing. But there's some people we had to kind of educate. Thank you. But yes, we had basically like a 3-month kind of back and forth about the deal and contract and stuff like that. And then we flew out to Arizona and we acquired that unit. And so that's where the cold calling came in. But a lot of no's before yes, for sure.
Oh, for
Definitely
sure.
a lot of no's. But
Sure.
those yeses.
How many no's do you think before you got that yes?
Oh, yeah, no, a lot of, I would say possibly maybe 50 no's before that yes, because I was doing a lot of cold calling. A lot of people, I'll get back to you, this, that, and a third, and people don't follow up. And
so how much rent in Arizona and then income year one?
So for Arizona, that rent was $3,250. It was $3,500, but we got it down to $3,250. And that property generated, it was basically, I would say, maybe 72,000.
Double.
No,
almost double.
I think around 72,000, give or take. 72,000, give or take. And I would say that's more so on the low end because that was a 3-bed, 2.5 bathroom, which typically would do well. But the one thing we learned from that property was Arizona is super seasonal and super hot in the summer. So we kind of lost out on those June, July, those May, June, July months because it's super hot, monsoon season, stuff like that. So We definitely learned at that being our first out-of-state property, we definitely learned a lot with that property. And we actually closed that property down this year in April due to the seasonality.
When did you go international?
We went international last August.
What precipitated that?
So that would be my partner, actually. So my partner's, his family's from St. Vincent, Caribbean roots. And the first property was somebody from his church had a property in St. Lucia, and she had it on booking.com and things of that nature. But the photos were it could be revamped. And she reached out to my partner because he was also helping me at the time. And she was like, would you be able to, manage this property? And we upfronted the cost for the refurnishings and everything. And we paid ourselves back from the bookings, of course. But that was kind of an investment for us as well, kind of just coming out of pocket, because sometimes we do that just so we can just get the gears going and we get the money on the back end and stuff like that. But my partner secured both of the international properties. I was there for the whole thing. There are my highlights, and we both transformed those places. And St. Vincent, he's from St. Vincent, and his family has homes there as well. So they saw what we were doing here in New York, and they were like, "Well, let's do it there as well." So,
wow.
Yeah.
When did you start getting into the car fleet?
The car fleet, same time as the home rentals, which would be 2022. And that's when it became Turo became legal in New York in 2022. So right when it became legal, I hopped on it. But I wanted to do it prior to that, but I just couldn't do it in New York because it was banned. So I was contemplating doing it in New Jersey.
So explain to the audience what it is.
So Turo is a peer-to-peer car sharing platform where you can list your vehicle on there and people can rent it from you. Insurance is included all on the platform, so you don't have to worry about anything. And yeah, basically it's a peer-to-peer car sharing platform.
And how many cars do you have in your fleet?
I have 15 cars. 15 cars.
Where do you keep them in New York?
So some of them are on monthly rentals, so that takes away a lot. I mean, some cars just came back from 2 months, and so the rotation is great. But really, we have street parking right now due to our volume. I think we just have about like 6 cars just here in Brooklyn, and we just alternate our parking if needed. But we just partnered with another business partner, and we're planning to get a actual lot for the vehicles just for growth and everything. But yeah.
I was just at an event and there were people there from New York, and someone was asking this gentleman, he said he'd owned a car, and someone said, how do you do that? He goes, I just get parking tickets. And frankly, the parking tickets are not as expensive as the garages.
Honestly, that's true. That's true.
And someone said, do you have to like get up and move your car every like? It would be too much for the 65-year-old to worry about that one. All right. So now you also mentioned something else. I just lost my train of thought. Another business line.
Was it the salon suites or no?
Yeah. Okay. So then I'm on your Instagram. I'm all learning about these Airbnbs and short-term rentals, and then there's a salon suite ad.
Yes.
So tell us about that.
Yes. So I was looking into getting into salon suites, and it so happened that it's always something happened, but it so happened that someone reached out and said, I have someone that has salon suites. Are you able to, manage that as well? And I actually have had no prior experience with salon suites because that's a totally different just avenue. And I took it on. So basically I've partnered with the salon, and they had 6 vacant seats, and I've been able to promote their salon on TikTok and Instagram, and make pricing to where if I'm able to secure somebody there for a month, they're able to get their payments and I get a percentage, and kind of just keep their seats booked that way. But definitely a lot of demand with the salon suites, especially with so many beauticians and I guess estheticians or people who are into like beauty and lashes, and they need their own space or hair, whatever the case may be. So the suites has definitely been an avenue I want to continue to dive into, but I only have one salon that's under my belt right now.
Okay. So Briana, you are a hustler. Like you are an entrepreneur, like the definition. Okay. But when are you going to invest in real estate? Because this is my mission. My mission is to get women to invest in real estate. So you are primed and ready, girl. When is it happening?
That's my family's been asking me about that. I've been thinking about that. I think I'm just trying to find the best area and place to do it. I've been so on the go and so used to, I guess, making money without owning anything, which has been great. I guess that's my partner's motto. It's kind of like you don't have to necessarily own the assets, but you can actually make money from helping other people. Of course.
But that's this hand. This hand, you need to invest so you can get the appreciation, the deduction, all that other stuff, right?
Absolutely. I would say I give myself between, I would say, possibly between the next 3 years. I feel like that's like realistic for me.
I'm thinking you can buy a 10-unit, 20-unit apartment building.
In New York, or are you saying anywhere? Period?
I don't know. I don't
Okay.
know. I like, but my shopping centers are all within 10 minutes of my house. I'm a big believer in knowing the market,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So, and by the way, if anyone I didn't look at your TikTok, but I definitely checked out your Instagram, and some of the videos are the renovations. The fact that you're doing renovations on this stuff that you don't even own. I don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, can these listing agreements, can they just call you and say, okay, thanks for renovating, you're out in 30 days? Like, is it a 30-day out, or do you have?
No, definitely in the agreements, if we are doing any renovations, we must be that must be recouped for sure. We must be getting that paid out either through the bookings or in a lump sum from the owner themselves. And that's
How
definitely
much? How much was the recent renovation of Brooklyn? That bathroom, like, you all go check out
okay.
Briana's
So
Instagram.
that was actually a full gut renovation that was done by my parents, because that was their
Got it.
apartment building. If you're talking about that one,
Yeah.
that's their brownstone, and they did that.
Okay.
So that was fully
Amazing.
on them. I
Beautiful.
just did the
Whoever, did your
furnishing.
mom do that, or did she hire?
That was my dad, actually. My dad. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
tell your dad. I mean, like, he could, I'd hire him. What an eye. What an eye. It was gorgeous.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, okay. So in the next 3 years, when we talk next, you're going to have bought something by
Yes.
32. That was the first time I did my first LP. I was 32.
Okay. Okay. So I guess that's a nice goal.
But I was way behind you.
Um,
Way behind you. You're ahead of the game. But once I see huge things, and I now want you back on the podcast so we can talk about the first deal that you've invested in.
Oh, yes, we'll definitely circle back when it's in fruition. Yeah.
So what advice would you have to other young people so my guess is your income is far exceeding any W-2 you had.
Yes, for sure. And I think that's why I left those jobs after a while.
Right. So, but you agree, like, describe the personality you have to be to do what you're doing, because not everyone can do this. Like, not everyone's a hustler and can cold call. Like, before you picked up that first call, was it easy, or did you stare at the phone for 15 minutes?
That first phone call, I was definitely nervous. I nervous, but I knew I had to do it. And even if I may have messed up a little bit,
you learn from it.
They say you have to get 100 no's until you get your first yes. And then I just took that mentality and it's just like, I have to keep going. Some people there's people who, don't like Airbnb, and I've got a lot of mouth on the phone. People are like, oh, I don't do that. So you have to have some tough skin for sure. You never know how people are going to react. Some people may take the call as like, no, I'm looking for somebody to rent. Don't call me with that stuff. So definitely have to have.
I mean, there's a lot of young people, that are not happy with your W-2s. I tell them, keep the W-2s, but have a side hustle, right?
Yeah.
What's your advice? How could someone get started doing this? What would be your advice? Not that you want to bring on a lot of competition, but I think there's enough room in the world.
Absolutely. Always enough room. My advice would be, one, if you're interested in getting into the Airbnb or short-term rental space, look into your area as far as the rules and regulations. That's the first thing, because sometimes you won't even be able to do it where you are. But I would say definitely do the research to see how much you're able to make within your area. Go on Airbnb, look at what the competitors are doing already. See how you can probably implement something new or different, or ultimately the same. You see something's working, you see somebody's booked out. If you have an apartment and your landlord or homeowner is okay with you putting it on Airbnb, and you come to them professionally and let them know that this is something you want to do, and their property will be fine. Definitely something that you can possibly start. I think the hardest thing is getting that yes, and just really kind of polishing yourself. And there's so many people like me out there that have scripts or stuff like that. Like, if you need help, you can always go on YouTube. Like, how can I pitch myself to a landlord? And I've literally went on YouTube and wrote down scripts from people on YouTube saying what they've said, and I just implemented that on Zillow. I was just like, let me start these calls, and
now what you can do. Now you can put it in ChatGPT
Oh, even that
And you
as
could
well.
say, ChatGPT, give me a script, and then you can tell ChatGPT that you're going to do the script and have ChatGPT as a receiver of the cold call and give you critiques.
Oh, nice. Yes,
Yeah,
that's even better. Actually, ChatGPT wasn't even out when I was doing those cold calls. So
for
this is even
sure.
better information. This is even better. So
And my last question, did you ever do one of these where you signed the lease and you planned on doing the Airbnb or short-term rentals and it didn't work out? And now you're stuck with this lease and you can't sublease it.
That was the Arizona property for the months of where it's really hot in the summer. We actually had about 3 months where we didn't have any bookings at all, and so I was coming out of pocket, still paying the rent. And it showed me, if I'm, this is not mom and dad. This is, it gave me that real life experience that I think we all need to have. Like, rent is still on the line. Like, we still need to come through and produce, regardless if somebody's in there or not. And that hit me hard. And
reality check, right? Yeah. Reality check.
Definitely. So that kind of did scare me a little bit, like I'm growing too, because I'm like, what if I go through this again? But that's basically just a hurdle I have to get over. And I guess I'm still looking for my next rental arbitrage property regardless. So
investment property.
Yes, an investment property. Yes.
Briana, it's been such a pleasure. Keep up the great work, my dear. You're doing awesome. I just want one more thing. We got to get you investing.
Yes. I did want to mention one more thing to the people. Yeah. I know I talked about rental arbitrage, but I also do percentage splits. If I didn't mention that, my latest partnerships have been me doing like an 80-20 split with owners. So I don't have to pay the rent, but I'm able to just split profits with them or revenue with them. And that keeps me out the clear of rent. And it's a mutually beneficial situation. So you can always propose that to owners as well. Like, hey, I'll give you 80% of the profit that we make. I just have 20% for managing the operations and the listings. And just wanted to add that in there. That's another way.
I love that. But I'm still, I'm going to be on you. Yes. I'm going to be on you.
I'm going to be purchasing, buying. That is. So
yeah, because in the instance of the Arizona one,
right,
even though it doesn't rent for 3 months and you're paying the mortgage, you're gaining equity. So that's not a loss, right?
Exactly.
So,
right. Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for being on Women Investor Wednesdays.
No, thank you for having me. This was great.
And thanks to Nicole Pendergrass for introducing us. She was a speaker at one of my last year or the year before, the summit.
Oh,
so nice. Maybe we'll see you in March at the summit in Fort Lauderdale. We'd love to have you. You will leave life changed. We change lives at that summit.
I'll have to put that on the calendar for sure.
All right. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us.
No problem. Have a good night. Bye, everyone.